intriguing group of individuals you are, to a psychologist. I've had the opportunity over the last couple of days of listening in on some of your conversations and watching you interact with each other. And I think it's fair to say already that there are 47 people in this audience at this moment displaying psychological symptoms I would like to discuss today. And I thought you might like to know who you are. But instead of pointing at you, which would be gratuitous and intrusive, I thought I would tell you a few facts and stories in which you may catch a glimpse of yourself. I'm in the field of research known as personality psychology, which is part of a larger personality science which spans the full spectrum from neurons to narratives. And what we try to do in our own way is to make sense of how each of us, each of you, is uncertain. Certain respects, like all other people, like some other people, and like no other person. Now, already you may be saying of yourself, I'm not intriguing. I am the 46th most boring person in the Western Hemisphere. Or you may say of yourself, I am intriguing, even if I am regarded by most people as a great thundering twit. But it is your self-diagnosed boringness and your inherent twittiness that makes me as a psychologist really fascinated by you. So let me explain why this is so. One of the most influential approaches in personality science is known as trait psychology, and it aligns you along 5 dimensions, which are normally distributed, and that describe universally held aspects of difference between people. They spell out the acronym OCEAN. So O stands for open to experience versus those who are more closed. C stands for conscientiousness, in contrast to those with a more lackadaisical approach to life. E, extroversion, contrast to more introverted people. A, agreeable individuals, in contrast to those decidedly not agreeable. And N, neurotic individuals, in contrast to those who are more stable. All of these dimensions have implications for our well-being, for how our life goes. And so we know that, for example, openness and conscientiousness are very good predictors of life success, but the open people achieve that success through being audacious and occasionally odd. The conscientious people achieve it through sticking to deadlines, to persevering, as well as having some passion. Extroversion and agreeableness are both conducive to working well with people. Extroverts, for example, I find intriguing with my classes. I sometimes give them a basic fact that might be revealing with respect to their personality. I tell them that it is virtually impossible for adults to lick the outside of their own elbow. Did you know that? Already, some of you have tried to lick the outside of your own elbow, but extroverts amongst you are probably those who have not only tried, but they have successfully licked the elbow of the person sitting next to them. Those are the extroverts. Let me deal in a bit more detail with extroversion because it's consequential and it's intriguing, and it helps us understand what I call our 3 natures. First, our biogenic nature, our neurophysiology. Second, our sociogenic second nature, which has to do with the cultural and social aspects of our lives. Third, what makes you individually you, idiosyncratic, what I call your idiogenic nature. Explain. things that characterizes extroverts is they need stimulation. And that stimulation can be achieved by finding things that are exciting. Loud noises, parties, social events here in TED. You see the extroverts forming a magnetic core. They all gather together, and I see you. The introverts are more likely to spend time in the quiet spaces like the floor, where they are able to reduce stimulation and may be misconstrued as being antisocial, but you're not necessarily antisocial. It may be that you simply realize that you do better when you have a chance to lower that level of stimulation. Sometimes it's an internal stimulant from your body. Caffeine, for example, works much better with extroverts than it does introverts. When extroverts come into the office at 9 o'clock in the morning and say, "I need a cup of coffee," they're not kidding. They really do. Introverts do not do as well, particularly in the tasks they're engaged in. And they've had some coffee. If those tasks are speeded and if they're quantitative, introverts may give the appearance of not being particularly quantitative, but it's a misconstrual. So here are the consequences that are really quite intriguing. We're not always what we seem to be, and that takes me to my next point. I should say, before getting to something about sexual intercourse, although I may not have time, and so if you would like me to, I would, yes, you would, okay. There are studies done on the frequency with which individuals engage in the conjugal act, as broken down by male-female experts. So I ask you, how many times per minute? Oh, I'm sorry, that was a rat study. How many times per month do introverted men engage in the act? That's 3.0. Extroverted men, more or less? Yes, more. 5.5, almost twice. Introverted women, 3.1. Extroverted women, frankly, speaking as an introverted male, which I will explain later, they are heroic. 7.5. They not only handle all the male extroverts, they pick up a few introverts as well. We communicate differently, extroverts and introverts. Extroverts, when they interact, have lots of social encounter punctuated by closeness. They like to stand close for comfortable communication. They like to have a lot of eye contact and mutual gaze. We found in some research that they use more diminutive terms when they meet somebody. So when an extrovert meets Charles, it rapidly becomes Charlie, and then Chuck, and then Chuckles maybe. Whereas for introverts, it remains Charles until he's given a past or intimate by the person he's talking to. We speak differently. Extroverts prefer black and white, concrete, simple language. Introverts prefer, and I must again tell you that I am as extreme an introvert as you could possibly imagine. We speak differently. We prefer contextually complex, contingent, weasel word sentences, more or less, as it were, not to find a point upon it, like that. When we talk, we sometimes talk past each other. I had a consulting contract I shared with a colleague who's different from me as two people could possibly be. First, his name is Tom. Mine isn't. Secondly, he's 6'5". I have a tendency not to be. And thirdly, he's as extroverted versus you could find. I am seriously introverted. I overload so much I can't even have a cup of coffee after 3 in the afternoon. I didn't expect to sleep in the evening. We had seconded to this project a fellow called Michael. And Michael almost brought the project to a crashing halt. So the person who seconded him asked Tom, Henry, what do you make of Michael? Well, I'll tell you what Tom said in a minute. He spoke in classic extroverts. And here is how extroverted ears heard what I said, which is actually pretty accurate. I said, well, Michael does have a tendency at times of behaving in a way that some of us might see as perhaps more assertive than is normally called for. Tom rolled his eyes and he said, Brian, that's what I said. He's an asshole. Now, as an introvert, I might gently allude to certain assholic qualities in this man's behavior, but I'm not going to lunge for the A word. The expert says he walks like top like one, I call him one, and we go past each other. Now, is this something that we should be mindful of? Of course, it's important to know. Is that all we are? Are we just a bunch of traits? No, we're not. Remember, you're like some other people and like no other person. How about that idiosyncratic you? As Elizabeth or as George, you may share your extroversion or your neuroticism. But are there some distinctively Elizabethan features of your behavior or Georgian of yours that makes us understand you better than just a bunch of traits that make us love you? Not just because you're a certain type of person. I'm uncomfortable putting people in pigeonholes. I don't even think pigeons belong in pigeonholes. So what is it that makes us different? It's the doings that we have in our life, the personal projects. You have a personal project right now, but nobody may know it here. It relates to your kid. Being back 3 times to the hospital and they still don't know what's wrong. Or it could be your mother. And you've been acting out of character. These are free traits. You're very agreeable, but you act disagreeably in order to break down those barriers of administrators' torture in the hospital to get something for your mom or your child. What are these free traits? They're where we enact a script in order to advance a core project in our lives. And they are what matters. Don't ask people what type you are. Ask them what are your core projects in your life. And we enact those free traits. I'm an introvert, but I have a core project, which is to profess. I'm a professor. And I adore my students. And I adore my field. And I can't wait to tell them about what's new, what's exciting, what I can't wait to tell them about. And so I act in an extroverted way because at 8 in the morning, the students need a little bit of humor, a little bit of engagement to keep them going arduous days of study. But we need to be very careful when we act protractedly out of character. Sometimes we may find that we don't take care of ourselves. I find, for example, after a period of pseudo-extroverted behavior, I need to repair somewhere on my own. As Susan Cain said in her Quiet book, in a chapter that featured the strange Canadian professor who's teaching at the time at Harvard, I sometimes go to the men's room to escape the slings and arrows of outrageous extroverts. I remember one particular day when I was retired to a cubicle trying to avoid overstimulation. And a real extrovert came inside me, not right in my cubicle, but the next cubicle over. And I could hear various evacuatory noises, which we hate our own. That's like flushing during as well as after. And then I heard this gravelly voice saying, "Hey, is that Dr. Little?" If anything is guaranteed to constipate An introvert for 6 months is talking on the joint. That's where I'm going now. Don't follow me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Diane Lawson. I'm a teacher at the School for International Training. It's common in language teaching programs to survey current language methodologies. At SIT, we do this by giving our teachers trainees direct experience with each method. The purpose of this videotape series is to provide you with a similar but vicarious experience involving 6 common methods: the lingual method, the language journey, comprehensive approach, media, silent debate, approach. Intermediate level lessons will observe for tape at television studios of the USIA in Washington, D.C., and it's through the courtesy of the USIA this program is being made available to you. The students were all volunteers who are studying for the time. The instructors are experienced language teachers and teacher educators from SIT who have each taught students in various parts of the world using the methods they demonstrate through here. For the sake of coherence, the instructors designed their lessons around a common theme, namely that of the house. What you will see are somewhat condensed versions of the original lessons. All of the steps of the lessons have been preserved. Some of the participation training in the interest of time. The instructors have tried to faithfully depict each method, but of course, each instructor is also putting the principles into practice based upon interpretation and experience. First, I will introduce each method. Next, you will observe the method in practice. Afterwards, I will point out the salient techniques and principles associated with each method. The lessons are meant only to introduce you to these methods. All of the methods have a richer repertoire of principles and techniques that can be fully functionally here. If you wish to learn more, you may choose to consult my book, Techniques and Principles in Language Teaching, published by Oxford University Press. As you hear the tape, try to remain open to what you see. You may be missing out on something valuable if you reject to observe these lessons if you don't see how they could apply to your own situation. For example, there are about 25 students participating in these lessons. Your own classes may be much larger than yours. Rather than thinking this will never work in a large class, think instead, is there anything worthwhile for this technique? And if the answer is affirmative, next, ask yourself, how then can I adapt this technique to my own circumstances? Or, what other way can I put this principle into practice? Let your imagination create possibilities for you. The first method you will observe is the audiolingual method, or ALM. It's a method in which many of you may already be familiar. My colleague, Michael Joel, now demonstrates the ALM. Watch carefully what the teacher is doing and what he is asking the students to do.
Good morning, class. How are you? Fine, thanks. How are you? Fine. Good. I'm happy to hear that. Today's lesson is going to be about good people, about a salesman, a special kind of a salesman. Now, you know what a salesman is. That's a person who sells something to somebody else. Salesman. We're going to, today the salesman is a vacuum cleaner salesman, and the other person is the vacuum salesman. The other person is a woman, or we could call her a housewife. So now, I want you to just listen and watch what I do. Listen carefully, watch what I do, and try to understand. Okay?
the salesman. I'm going to be both people. I'm going to play two roles. I'm going to be the salesman and the woman. Ring, 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 ring. Ring, 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 ring. Hello? Hello, madam. Would you like to have the cleanest house in town? Yes, of course I would. Then, madam, you need the amazing Hoover vacuum cleaner. No, I don't. What? Why not? Because my husband does the cleaning in our house. Oh. Okay, now listen, and I'll do it one more time. You just listen, don't talk. Listen again. I'll do it one more time. So, good morning. Good morning, madam. Would you like to have the cleanest house in town? Yes, I would. Then, madam, you need the amazing Hoover vacuum cleaner. No, I don't. What? Why not? And the woman said, because my husband does the cleaning in our house. And the salesman said, ah. All right, now, we're going to learn this together now. I'm going to help you learn how to say this whole dialogue. Okay? So, please repeat. First line is the woman says, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Salesman says, good morning. Would you like to have the cleanest house in town? Good morning. Okay. House in town. Just say that much. House in town. The cleanest house in town. Okay. Now just group deep here. The cleanest house in town. A. The cleanest house in town. That's okay. The cleanest house in town. The cleanest house in town. Okay, now just you. The cleanest house in town. The cleanest house in town. Cleanest. The cleanest house in town. Good, very good. Okay. This group, the cleanest house in town. Cleanest house in town. The cleanest house in town. So just right now, just this group, okay? Let's get in a minute. Okay. The cleanest house in town. Just two. The cleanest house in town. Good. Everybody, the cleanest house in town. Would you like to have the cleanest house in town? Would you like to have the cleanest house in town? Okay. Would you like to have the cleanest house in town? Good. Okay, you. The cleanest house in town. Good. Okay. From the beginning now, the woman said, good morning. Everybody, good morning. Good morning. The husband says, good morning, madam. Would you like to have the house in town? Good morning, madam. Okay, good. Now the woman says, yes, of course I would. 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 Wait, this half of the class. Yes, of course I would. This half. Yes, of course I would. Yes, of course I would. You please. Yes, of course I would. Yes, of course I would. Yes, you have to say it with feeling. Yes, of course I would. So, yes, of course I would. Yes. Okay, everybody, yes, of course I would. Yes, of course I would. Salesman said, then, madam, you need the amazing Hoover vacuum cleaner. Vacuum cleaner. Hoover vacuum cleaner. The amazing Hoover vacuum. Hi, everyone. 2 years ago, my life changed forever. My wife Kelsey and I welcomed our daughter Leela into the world. Now, becoming a parent is an amazing, amazing experience. Your whole world changes overnight. Now, all of your priorities change so fast that it's a really difficult to process sometimes. Now, you also have to learn a tremendous amount about being a parent. Like, for example, how to dress your child. This was new to me. This is an actual outfit. I thought this was a good idea. And even Leela knows that it's not a good idea. So there was so much to learn and so much craziness all at once. And to add to the craziness, Kelsey and I both work from home. We're entrepreneurs. We run our own businesses. So Kelsey develops courses online for teachers. I'm an author. And so I'm working from home. Kelsey's working from home. We have an infant. And we're trying to make sure that everything gets done that needs done. And life is busy. And a couple weeks into this amazing experience, when the sleep deprivation really kicked in, like around week 8, I had this thought, and it was the same thought that parents across villages internationally, everybody has had this thought, which is, I'm never going to have free time. Welcome to Make Your Own Mr. Pizza. It's gonna make you very happy. In the dark, before you make the pizza, make sure you have plenty of counterfeit. The opening your happy chef pizza kit. Use the power of the water to make the pizza dough. Next, for making your dough rise, open the yeast and add half of its contents to the dough. Make sure you don't use more than half. chocolate cola nothing, and then imagine it was you. Now, get ready for one of the happiest dining experiences of your life. When things start to sizzle, top of the me. The happy chef is right, everyone. But to be sure it's right, hold it up to Ida and a squeeze. Check. Some fresh red tomatoes, some herbs, and a half a stomach spring roll. When you're sure your tomatoes are right and set, splash it into your frying pan or capture its flavor. Put in the sauce on a pizza, then on for an all I'm a pizza chef. There's a button. Others prefer the bottom of a soup. As with any art, each art is first to find what works the best. The trick is to spread nothing, but not thick and even all around. That's why you can drop off your masterpiece over the top. Mushroom sauces. Now, to remind you, get your started and get ready to enjoy. The only way you're possibly happy chef right now is if you forgot to turn on the oven. But the happy chef does just the thing for you. How fast would you be? Congratulations, pizza makers! There's only one thing left to do to make your pizza experience complete. Fill it up! Seriously now, cut it off!